Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra Unit 1.1 Notes, Day 1. Today we're going to be talking about, that's right, the distributive property and combining like terms. Our learning target today is to be able to simplify expressions by combining like terms and by using the distributive property. So, what is the distributive property, you ask? Well, what that is, it is when you multiply a number next to parentheses to, look at that word, every term inside. Okay? So whatever is outside, you multiply it by whatever is inside. Okay? And when we're doing this, if you look at the directions below, we always want to write our answer in standard form. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. If you need to write that definition down, pause the video. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number that's on the outside and I'm going to multiply it by what's inside. Okay, so I'm going to do 2 times m, and I'm also going to do 2 times 4. Okay, so 2 times m is, well, 2m, and 2 times 4 is 8. So that's what I'm doing, and then I would write my answer, 2m plus 8. And I always want to make sure that that answer is in standard form. Okay? So let's try it again. I'm going to take the number outside, 4 times 3x, and I'm going to do 4 times 5. Well, 4 times 3x is 12x, 4 times 5 is 20, and I'm not going to forget about that symbol right there, okay? So we get 12x minus 20. Okay? So if I'm writing this without that little side work, all I would do is, well, I'm going to take 8 times negative 6. 8 times negative 6 is negative 48y. And then I'm going to multiply again. 8 times 1 would be a positive 8. Okay? So even if it's a negative number, whatever's outside, I'm going to multiply it by what's inside. Negative 7 times w is negative 7w. Negative 7 times 10, that's a positive 10, would be a negative 70. Okay, so whatever number's outside by what's inside. Negative 9 times 8 is a negative 72n. And then the negative 9 times a negative 2, remember that means that that number is negative. Negative times a negative is positive, and 2 times 9, 18. Now in problems like 6 is where we see a lot of difficulty. Remember that this negative, we're really saying that there's a negative 1 on the outside. So I would multiply, I would distribute a negative 1. So negative 1 times 4k would be a negative 4k. And the negative 1 times positive 11 is a negative 11. When there's just that negative on the outside, pretty much everything inside just changes signs. Okay? Now, if there are fractions, don't freak out. Okay? Now, when we're multiplying by 1/2, we're pretty much just taking half of what's inside. Okay? And if that's like, Mr. Grice, that's way too hard, it's okay to use your calculator. All right? So whenever we're using fractions, we're going to put them inside parentheses. So we have that negative 1/2, and I'm going to multiply it by 14. Okay. If you want to try it in your head, what's half of 14? Okay, and since it's negative, we're multiplying by negative, it's going to be negative. Okay, so that turns to a negative 7x, and then negative 1/2 times 30, half of 30, and it's negative. Okay, so we get negative 15. All right, number 8. Number 8, this time we are distributing a negative 2/3. Oh, Mr. Grice, make sure you put 2, so negative 2/3. And the first number we're distributing it to is a positive 12, so negative 2/3 times 12 is negative 8. And negative 2/3 times negative 6. Right, negative 6. Or negative 9, I'm sorry. So negative times a negative, it's going to be positive. Whoops. I think I mixed my signs up. So negative 2/3 times negative 9. I put the wrong negative symbol. So there we go, 6. And a negative times a negative, like we said, would be a positive 6. Why don't you guys try number 9 all on your own? Pause the video and good luck. Now, 4/5 times 15, that was kind of easy. Okay, that should have just been 12k. Now, 4/5 times negative 3, did you guys get something funny? Yeah, so let me show you how to do that. So when you have 4/5 times 3 and you get a crazy decimal, well, this one's not that crazy. What you do is you hit the math, okay? And then see this first option, fraction? Hit math, enter, enter, and it's going to take what you just had, that decimal, and it's going to turn it into a fraction for us. So negative 12/5. Okay. Now, if we look inside the parentheses, there's a lot going on. And some of you guys would be like, well, all right, let's just distribute it to everything. Yeah, you could do that. But I would be a fan of trying to find your like terms first and then distributing. Okay, so I would have the negative 2w, and then 3 plus 10 is 13. And then I would take this 6 and distribute. 6 times negative 2 is a negative 12w. And 6 times 13, we get 78. Okay, so all we're doing is cleaning up the inside first, and then we're going to distribute. Okay, let's do one more together, and then I'll let you do, well, why don't you guys, we'll just do it together. Okay, so finding the like terms is right there. 3 minus 4 would just be negative n, and we still have that 2. Don't forget about it. And now I'm distributing a negative 5. Okay? Negative 5 times negative n, a negative times a negative makes that a positive, and negative 5 times 2 is negative 10. Okay, now, just because there's a decimal here doesn't mean you get to freak out and quit, okay? We're doing the same thing. We're going to combine our like terms first. That negative 8k comes out front, and negative 4 plus 2 is negative 2. Okay, and now I'm distributing a negative 0.5. And if you want to use your calculator, guys, go ahead and use your calculator. Okay, negative 0.5 times what was that, -8? It's 4. Okay, we don't need to freak out. So that's a 4k. And then I know a negative times a negative is a positive. 0.5 is like half. Half of 2 is 1. And if you need to use your calculator, please feel free to do so. All right, only got a couple more. We can do this. So inside parentheses, we always want to look to see if there's anything we can simplify first. Yeah, and in this case, we can't. So we're just going to make sure to take this 3 and distribute it to everything. 3 times y squared would be 3y squared. 3 times y would be a positive 3y. 3 times -1 is a -3. And now this -3y is outside the parentheses, so I'm not distributing. I'm just going to bring it down. Okay, so this guy comes straight down because he is not inside the parentheses. Okay, and now I'm looking for like terms. I have 3y and -3y. Those end up canceling. And then my final answer is 3y squared minus 3. Okay, so remember with 14, what we distribute is the number next to the parentheses, which is not just the 2, it's a -2. So the -2 is what's going to be distributed to the 3x and to the -5. Okay, so my 4 comes down. -2 times 3x is a -6x. And -2 times -5, a negative times a negative is a positive. And then I'm just going to bring that 7x down. Okay, and now I'm looking for like terms. -7 or -6 plus 7 is a positive x. And then I have 4 plus 10, which gives us 14. Okay, 15. What are we going to distribute? Yeah, we're distributing that -5. Now, why don't you guys pause the video and see if you can do this step on your own. Good luck. Okay, that's what we should have gotten. And now we're going to combine like terms. The 3w squared and the 2w squared turn into 5w squared minus 30w plus 5. And that's it. All right. Remember, don't be scared. We can do this. Okay, just look at it piece by piece. 7 times 2 is a 14n. 7 times 1 is a positive 7. Okay, that's not too hard. And then we have -8, -8 times 4, and -8 times -3. -8 times 4 is a -32. -8 times -3, remember negative times a negative makes that a positive 24n. And then we're just going to bring that 14n down. Okay? And from here, all we have to do is combine like terms, guys. We're writing this in standard form. 14 plus 24 plus 14. Yeah, you should get 52n. And then the last thing is the 7 minus 32, which is -25. Okay. Now, before you just start jumping in and distributing everything, look, can you simplify anything inside those parentheses? And to me, it looks like you can. Okay, so I would clean that up first. 11 minus 9 is a positive 2. 3m minus 6m is negative 3m. And negative 8 plus 7 is negative 1. Okay, so at the beginning, I'm distributing a negative 3. So negative 3 times 5 is a negative 15m. And negative 3 times 2 is a negative 6. Okay, and now we're distributing a negative 1. Okay, so negative 1 times negative 3 is a positive 3m. And negative 1 times negative 1 is a positive 1. Okay, let's combine like terms. Negative 15 plus 3 is a negative 12m. And then negative 6 plus 1, negative 5. And that's it. That wasn't too bad, was it, guys? Okay, now, if you look on the back, there's our homework. Remember, it says to show your work, but to show your work on a separate sheet. Okay? If you have any questions, please come see Miss Carranza or my Grice, or Miss Carranza or Mr. Grice, sorry about that. We would love to help you out. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off for Algebra Unit 1.2 Notes, Day 1. Thanks for watching.